Oh yes, the signs everywhere. There's signs. Plays very appropriately into what we're talking about here this morning. Ron the Car Guy not here today, but Joe the Car Guy is here with us, and we're talking about signs today.
That's right. Warning signs, and don't ignore them.
All right, the signs you should not ignore.
Exactly.
Because some of them, some people do. The light comes on, and it's like, eh.
I've found that most of them that at one point or another somebody will.
Right.
The number one failure through AAA is a cooling system.
Ah, okay.
You know, the temp gauge or the low coolant light. That's a system, it should never lose fluid.
That's
If
bad.
it's coming on repeatedly, there's probably something wrong.
Yeah, yep. In most of the vehicles that get towed into our shop, you know, it started out as the hose clamp that's leaking. That's $2.05 to repair. And it turns into the coolant all leaked out, and now you need an engine or a head gasket or a water pump. Or
And those are a little more spendy.
The price tag on a motor nowadays is about what?
it easily would average $4,000 to $5,000 and up.
Instead of $2.05 for a hose clamp.
Exactly, and a gallon of coolant for $23. So
You do the math.
yeah, yep.
Okay.
So that's probably the highest failure rate that we see come into the shop.
Yeah.
The other ones are the check engine lights of it's probably just the gas cap or a sensor. Well, some of those sensors are very, very important. You're right, it could be the gas cap, but
Which is the reason a lot of people blow it off.
exactly is they've got that in their mind for whatever reason, or they'll go to the big box parts store that'll go out and plug a $59 code reader in, and all that does is tell you what the system is that the failure's in. That, you know, if it has an oxygen sensor code in there, the job of that parts store is to sell you an oxygen sensor. It's not,
Right.
It may not fix the car. It's not
Right.
a professional diagnosis.
Okay.
Same thing with ABS, airbag lights. Those lights are reliable. If they come on, there's some sort of failure going on in the car. Some of them aren't must repairs at that very second to where, you know, you need to call in the National Guard and stop what you're doing, but they need to at least be looked at, because that light doesn't change color or get brighter or do anything different if there's a larger problem that goes on. You'll never know.
It's on or off.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. So it could be on for the gas cap, and then you have an engine problem, you know, down the road a month or two. You won't know the difference unless your car is running poorly, and it could do, you know, a lot further damage to
Right.
it.
Okay.
Gotcha.
You know, noises are something that people ignore. They'll intensify over time. We hear a lot of, you know, my car's been making this noise for 6 months and it's gotten worse. Well, it started out there again as maybe you needed brake pads, which could be a couple $100 service, and now you've worn through the calipers and you have $1,000 service going on. So noises are a big one that we see people ignore.
If something sounds different than it normally does,
Yeah.
then you need to be aware.
Yeah, especially if it intensifies or get worse, you know, over the span of a couple weeks. You know, it's not every time you hear, you know, a squeak do you need to come in. I mean, on my truck, it's newer. When it's cold outside and we've had moisture, there's ice that gets somewhere. It drives
don't
me
know where,
insane.
but it's somewhere.
But when it warms up, it goes away. So, I mean, I don't panic about that. But if it sounds like the front end of your car is going to fall apart, it's time to come see us.
It's funny you mentioned that. I just came and saw you guys for a brake squeak, and now that it's warmed up, it's gone as well.
Yeah,
So
yep.
stuff happens. Right?
Yeah, exactly. And we have, you know, brakes, that's a good example. You know, moisture in the mornings can cause a brake squeak for the first 3 or 4 applications until it gets, you know, the night burn off of it, basically. You know, and then that noise is gone and you don't hear it the rest of the day. So, and a lot of people do come in and have us do a brake inspection and at least check it, which is a good idea. Because, you know, you don't know. That's something that you can't poke your head through the wheel every day and see where your brakes are
What's
at.
going on? I wouldn't know what I was seeing anyway.
Yeah.
It's one of those things, sometimes you just need to turn down the radio and listen to your car. You know,
Yeah.
growing up, you know, you just...
No way. I'm rocking.
Or
You get
Jason
in the
doesn't have
car, you
time
turn
for
up the
that.
tunes, and you head out the door. And sometimes it's like I learned very quickly. Sometimes you just need to turn the tunes down and listen to your car. It's like, does everything sound okay? All right.
Yeah.
Now crank it.
or turn it up enough where you don't hear anything.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
that's
you
what
got to go one way or the other.
One or the other. It's one or the other.
And the last thing that we have a lot of people that'll ignore is their fluids if they're low in their vehicle. If, you know, brake fluid, transmission fluid, power steering fluid, those are what's called a sealed
Gas.
system. Yeah, gas.
Yeah.
I hate it when that light
a big
comes
one.
on.
Yeah, we have AAA for that if you run out. But those systems you should never have to add to. You know, you should never have to put transmission fluid in your vehicle or power steering fluid or brake fluid.
And if you put an oil in every time you put fuel in, then there's something really wrong.
I had
Yeah,
that
if you're
car.
filling up the oil and checking the gas, there's an issue.
I had 2 of those cars. So, and let's face it, the main reason people ignore these is because they might as well all have dollar signs on them. But if you don't get them fixed, there's going to be a lot more dollar signs.
Exactly.
Right?
You know, when you get on Google or something and there's the dollar signs that tell you how much like the place is that you're going to, you know, you're starting out at a $1 sign issue, and you know you could end up at the $4 or $5 sign by ignoring it.
Right.
What if you're driving and the check engine light comes on, but then after you drive a little bit, it goes away? Is that still something where you should bring it in?
If it goes out and stays out, I mean, if it popped on once, what it did was it sensed a fault in that computer for whatever reason. And that, I mean, it's electrical technology, just like a computer glitches that you have to shut off and restart. If it comes on, it goes off and it stays off, you should be fine to continue driving it if that light doesn't stay illuminated. If it's coming on once a week and going off, and the next week it's back on and going off, you should at least have it looked at to see what's going on, because there's a consistent issue
Okay.
that's happening.
There you go.
Yeah, and you can plug in the machine that could tell you all the things about your car rather than just what type of part they want to sell you.
If we can find that machine, then we need to like buy that and copyright it, and because that's the other thing is people think that there's this machine that you just plug into the computer
Tells you
and it just
everything.
tells you, hey, just put a gas cap on it.
Right.
You know, it still takes a technician that's gone through years of training and certifications
You need to go through the checklist.
to go through a checklist and follow a flow chart and be able to find the wire that's broke on the driver's side floorboard under the carpet, you know, that's setting some light on. So
That's experience.
there is.
All right. All right, so if people want to find out what's going on with their vehicle, how do they find you guys?
They can find us at westsideautopros.com. We're just off Swanson Boulevard on Northwest 92nd Court. Or we've got an alternate phone number up there, 512-5187.
512-5187. All right, perfect. All
People
right,
are
sir.
nice. There's popping candy in the waiting room.
Yeah.
That's right.
There is, yes.
Help yourself.
Yes.
There it is. Thank you, Joe the Car Guy.
You bet.
Thanks.
All right, 6:52. When we come back, an all-video edition of Totally Serious News. I think you're going to be talking about next.